Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe that. Maybe that. Maybe that. Maybe that. Woo! Thank you for it. Maybe that. Woo! Thank you for it. Maybe that. One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Broke Boy Crypto. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host Crypto Ewok. We got a great show here for you tonight, here on a Wednesday, mid-January evening. How long are the Fed going to continue to hurt investors? Now, there's people out there rooting for the Fed and Jerome Powell, like Ben Cohen and stuff like that, defending Jerome Powell's honor, with some of the conditions that we've got macroeconomically. But hey, we've got Donald Trump and the DOJ apparently opening criminal investigations into the Fed and Jerome Powell. So we're going to get to that and a lot more. It's certainly very juicy. Welcome to all of you in the chat. We got Hex Girl, hi from Florida, sunny, the Sunshine State. Welcome to you, Hex Girl. Valiant Low Key, welcome in as well. DJ and Moon Boy, and a lot more pouring in, or maybe just a few more coming in, because we know that the YouTube checks my pulse checking in too. Welcome to you. We know that the YouTube crypto viewership is at a severe low for the first time in a long time, and we can attest to it. I mean, I noticed last week, I don't remember what our max viewers were concurrently, but we also noticed then, you and I were talking to Ewok about Maddie was having the Hex conference, and I looked at some of its live views, and they were lower than they typically would have been too. So there is massive apathy, I think I would say right now. You and I were talking off the air. You were saying people kind of throwing their hands up and being done. Even this pump that we're actually seeing in Bitcoin and Ethereum the last couple of days, the CPI data coming out pretty nicely, may have been a catalyst for, but either way, we're rallying a little bit here in January. Not really many peeps about it. I don't think people care, which actually could be very good. So we're going to get to that. But before we do, how are you feeling on this Wednesday evening?
I'm feeling great. Welcome in, Tam Tam. I got to actually spend the last week with my oldest daughter. She flew in from sunny Florida to visit, spent the week, and got her dropped back off at the airport this afternoon. Made my way back home, and here we are. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I think I mentioned it to you earlier this morning. I sent a message. I'm like, man, this pump is kind of interesting. And you're like, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to jinx it. So none of us do. It's a silent but kind of steady. I think Johnny had talked about this whole philosophy not too long ago about the daily yield, or the daily delta. As long as the green candle happens, it can be $1, it can be $100, it doesn't really matter. A green candle, a green candle, a green candle, as long as they're building slowly and no one's talking about it, it's super bullish. Because what happens is you blink, and the next thing you know, it's up $1,000, and you're like, what the hell happened? Where did that come from? Why has nobody been talking about this? Well, it's because of exactly what you just said. People are, feeling the just throw your hands in the air. I'm walking away from it. I've already sold my position or done whatever. Not me personally, but what people are feeling right now. And we still have been preaching. These are the times if you haven't tried to get your average buy-in cost down, because these are those times where you're not going to be met with much selling because people just aren't paying attention. So yeah, it's been a nice slow burn, and I'm really kind of liking what I'm seeing. So
yeah, I am with you. If you guys are pouring in, do us a favor and hit the like button to help support the channel and Paul's chain. But yeah, let's get into the greater crypto market. So we got Bitcoin, excuse me, just now did dip below 97K. It was up at almost 98 that I saw earlier today, which is crazy to think we're on the doorstep of 100K again, which I'm sure is going to be a huge psychological level. Even where we are right now, this had been about where the 50 MA was laying back in November of 2025. Funny to think we're not in 25 anymore. But whenever it did crash below these levels, and I think it was November, is when the alarm bells really started to sound. Like that's when, people all over Twitter and the classical chartists and all that stuff were really like, okay, we're entering a bear market. We're below the 50-week MA. This is the level that we can't lose. And Bitcoin, lost it easily. Now we're back around those levels, what had been the 50 MA back then, here at 96, 97K. We have Ethereum at 3,350. It's been up to about 3,400. It's been looking pretty solid too. And, people, again, like you just said, Ewok, I don't know if anybody even is talking about this because you and I don't spend much time on Twitter, but I imagine people are assigning some of this to the good inflation, not good, but the better inflation, better than expected inflation numbers we saw come out on Tuesday, that it came in cooler than expected, which was very good. Trying to continue to force Powell and the Fed's hand to cut interest rates, which we're going to get into a lot more of angles of that. But either way, the price is bullish. There's been a lot of people, even bearish people I've heard, since the end of last year, talking about some kind of recovery pump coming into January. But hey, we're still in a bear market, so don't expect anything. The overwhelming majority of people, just to zoom out a little bit here, are definitely still thinking about, I'm buying Bitcoin at the end of this year in Q4 when it bottoms like it always does between 35 and 55K, and everything's going to remain the same. I mean, that's where everybody is. We still have all the macroeconomic things, all systems go. We'll get to the Powell stuff, but yeah, he'll be gone in 4 months, I believe. We've got money printing in the background already happening with more to come. Donald Trump talking about $2,000 stimulus checks for everybody in America. The little Venezuela capturing that he took out last, a couple weeks ago now, or a week ago.
Yeah.
The oil situation. There's so many things going on that, macro-wise still looks very good. So I guess I'll say to you, what do you make of this positive price action now? And a great point by you too. Yeah, there's a lot of apathy. Even better than I think anger is apathy. Like when everybody's angry and depressed and shouting about it, but still active. I mean, that shows like a lot of polarization and people are there. We seem, not you and I, but this market seems very apathetic right now. We have, it is telling us in StreamYard, we have 19 viewers here right now,
yep.
Which is hilariously low. I mean, usually we're at like near 50 just to start the stream or something.
12 of them are from Twitter.
Yeah. So if you're here, all 19 of you, do us a favor, hit the like. But just to show you, I mean, there's complete apathy right now. And I think that is the absolute best place we could be in. Am I delusional and broke after 4 years? Yes. But it seems that the level of apathy we have right now could be very encouraging for a recovery, or maybe we just, go back down another 80% and we're all done. I don't know. But what do you make of where we're at right now, Evo?
Well, let's take a look. We're looking at the weekly because you had mentioned that it's really close to that 50 moving average. It's still hovering a little bit below it, but what it is doing also is sticking pretty close to this trend line that we've had on this chart forever. And it keeps getting through it. I think that's the critical thing right now. Can it get across this trend line and stay above it? If it can, then that's obviously bullish. If it keeps bouncing off of it, then not good. We could have even some more pullbacks, some lower. You're talking testing back down to 75,000. So extremely important range here with Bitcoin. I think, if it can get through it, above it, use that, even the 50-week moving average as some support, get off of it, go above it, and start ripping again. I think that's what everybody's waiting for, what everybody's looking for. With Ethereum, like I said, we've had this interesting, slow, silent little pump. This I forget how long ago I put this little trend line on here too, and it's again, we've been lucky to stick by these. I haven't moved them, so it did hit it, and we've risen pretty substantially above it. I said just the other day, it went from about 3,050 all the way up to 3390 something, and that's that was just what, this week alone. Let's look at the daily at least, so we can see this broken down. Now it's strange that we still have only seen 3 out of 4 days, but this one candle alone on Tuesday, yesterday, was the nice pump that didn't get sold back down. So very good to see. We do happen to know that trend of Monday morning rolls around, the markets open up, and boom, it drops. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out through the weekend, and into the beginning of next week. If it holds, then that'll be something very, very different than what we've been seeing historically. Because honestly, I think every Monday we get a dump. With It's like clockwork, and I think we've been bringing this up for months. It happens like clockwork. 9 o'clock in the morning, East Coast, on Monday, you get a tank. So just something, again, these little signs of bullishness, that are just kind of slow and steady while people aren't paying attention. Next thing you know, you're up $1,000 in Ethereum, and people are like, "Whoa, what happened?" That alone can trigger some bullishness and some retail getting in. Obviously the ones that are paying attention, are getting in now. They're seeing these moves, but the ones that aren't, they may start to run. Silver's up, gold's up. Maybe they'll take some profits on those and start moving them in. It's just, it's funny. We got to kind of pay attention, but usually how things kind of start, and it does, start a snowball effect. Hopefully we can get that out of this one.
You brought up an interesting point about the manipulation that we've seen massively, throughout the year 2025, like with the sell-offs at the stock market open every Sunday weekly close since early November was basically horrible, just tanking all day Sunday. You and I have talked about how Trump and the powers that be are, maybe wanted to suppress 2025 a bit purposefully, for this 2026 to be the year. Is that hope and cope? Probably, I don't know. Yeah. But this is a
election year.
Yeah, midterm year. So, and he desperately wants to win them. I think he's been eyeing this for a really long time. And again, lining everything up, as we already discussed, with all the macro things that are coming to happen this year. So, we'll see if there's less of that manipulation with all of the institutions that are in Bitcoin now. But what does Valiant Low Key have here?
Yeah, he says big rally for U.S. economy, crypto starting in Q2, Q3 is my guess. Macros need to cook for a little while longer. I agree. I agree. There are some things that are being very well set up, right? The setup is it's all coming to fold. But Valiant Low Key, I guess my point was, the first several, whatever it is, whether it's week, month, of your run up happens when people aren't looking, and they get really surprised by it. And that's the movement that I'm kind of talking about, and seeing what looks to be the start of. Now, I don't know if it'll play out that way or not, but it could very well. And this is how they kind of look when they do catch people by surprise. You start to see green candle, big green candle, small green candle, small green candle. It's again, it's that delta, the daily delta that's just always a little bit higher than the day before. Not much, and then you get a bigger pump in there, and then it just kind of tapers off again. But you're getting a bunch of green candles, so I. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and it's a good sign. Now it's just a matter of will it hold, and that's kind of where we're always at in the very uncertainty that we call crypto. So I do like what I see though.
Let's look at let me just ask you this one last thing. So if you had to predict like how you think this year will pan out, I mean, based on Valiant Low Key's thing there, I mean, I think that's a pretty good thesis that this macro stuff, it's been happening in the background since September last year. The stealth money printing started then. The rate cuts started then. Maybe the money printing was a little bit after that, but basically
December, right? It was like December 1st, whenever they ended all the
tightening.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the money printing was beginning too. So it's been happening now for a couple of months. But how do you think this year lines up, Ewok? I mean, do you think 2026 basically just looks like what Bitcoin post-halving year typically would have looked like?
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the manipulation that was happening and everything like that, I'm still very bullish. We have not seen our run up. And it goes back to what we said a couple weeks ago, is everybody was planning for it, right? Everybody said, I got this. Now I know exactly how to play this, because that's what happened the last 4 cycles. It's going to be the same thing. And then when everybody gets on the same page and it doesn't happen that way, they start to freak out. They start to say, oh my God, it's over. We're in a bear market. And so now they're getting caught with their pants down. I do see this year as being bullish. We go back to that old chart, the triangle chart with all the years listed, and it's been crazy accurate for many of the years and the strength of the markets and times to take profit, and when extremely bullish things are happening. And 2026 is one of those up years. So it's crazy how it was done in the whatever it was, the 20s or the 30s, maybe that long ago. But it's looking good. I do see this year as being the year, because of all the scenarios that are being set up. You got a new Fed chair, rates are coming down, stimulus checks, tariffs, the word of possibly eliminating some income taxes. Just there's all kind of positive things being thrown around. Now, will they all come true? Probably not. But even if the majority or some of them come true, it's still bullish for all of us.
You just mentioned the tariff thing there. That's interesting too. I don't mean to get into that, but the Supreme Court has continuously been delaying this, whatever this decision is on, if Trump's tariffs policies are constitutional. I'm sure I'm not saying correctly what they're deciding, but they've now delayed their judgment multiple weeks in a row and just keep kicking the can down the road. So I don't think anything's ever really going to come out of that, or there's going to be any, negative significance out of that. Before we get to our normal pulse chain prices after this, I just think getting to the topic in more detail of the Trump versus Powell thing right now makes sense, since we're talking macroeconomics and it's kind of the main topic of the show. So I sent you, and this is honestly really shocking, but and a lot of people I saw share the same sentiment on Twitter, but Jerome Powell literally put out a 2-minute video of him reacting to the DOJ. I don't know if they were officially filed or threatened to, but they've definitely taken action to file criminal charges against him and the Fed, which I'm sure is, motivated by Trump. And it's cloaked in this, and he says this in the video, but it's cloaked in this, that it's about this building that's getting renovated or something like that. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he won't, cut interest rates. But I think we know what it probably is really about. But if you could pull that up, Ewok, do you have it?
Yeah, I have it. It's giving me some problems here. All right, let's do this.
Okay. While you're doing it, though, essentially criminal charges against Powell and the Fed. And, is this a move? I mean, and it looks like it's so funny, too, because you see something like this pop up in your feed. We're all very used to the bullshit like AI videos of Jerome Powell after the FOMC where he's like dropping F-bombs and it's a big joke or whatever that people share. This is a real video. It doesn't look like it's going to be a real video at all. And it looks very hostage-esque, but very interesting. So I'll shut up now and let's hear what Jerome Powell had to say, if you can.
All right, let me restart this and make sure. I want to make sure it's playing. So I was giving me problems trying to stop it. So here we go. Let's try this.
Good evening.
There you go.
On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
So very interesting. I mean, this is an all-out knockdown, drag-out war, really, at this point. You know, with Trump versus the Fed. So, what do you make of his comments there after hearing that for maybe the first time? I don't know if you heard it yet, but
Well, I did. I had listened to it as soon as you sent over the bookmark earlier. I listened to it once and I was like, wow, political theater at its best. Like, you know, is he really doing what's best? Maybe the data, maybe they've been a little bit off. I'm not fully sure. He clearly was reading that. It wasn't who knows who wrote it. Again, it just reminds me of political theater, trying to stir up people that aren't on Trump's side either to get in his corner. Not a fan. We do need a push. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to go too crazy with the rates. Obviously, we know what happens when inflation gets run away. Things get to be a mess. So are they trying to do the right thing? Yeah, probably so. But when the president is your commander in chief, right? I realize these people are independent.
yeah,
it has nothing.
Your point here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're independent, and I believe they're like, we don't have to listen to you. And I think that's where we're butting heads. And I don't even know where to go with this. I think he's just trying to save face at this time, create a little bit of political drama, political theater. I mean, so what's your take on it? I mean,
yeah. So the thing that you just said, that they're independent. I mean, yeah, the Fed is not an elected, like I like, he just basically framed this like, I'm a public servant or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is a company, basically. This is a company. This is not an office of the law. This is not anybody that's been elected. Like, they're just appointed to create monetary policy as they see fit for America. And if you look back, with how they've done for, I don't know, 75 years, it's pretty bad. I mean, how much did anything cost in the 50s to today? I mean, the US dollar is, like all fiat currency, a disastrous failure and will
Sure.
continue to get worse. And
Yep.
Jerome Powell's just, another person at the helm of making that happen. So I get it. Like, this is what Trump does. I mean, this is, I'm not saying Jerome Powell deserves it or whatever. I really don't care. I mean, like, it's a negotiating tactic, and yeah, that's what happens when you're in the big leagues. And again, you're not elected. Like Donald Trump, or who even Joe Biden at that point, was an elected official,
Right.
supposedly by the American people. Jerome Powell cannot say that. He will never be able to say that. He works for a company that's not public office. So,
Yeah, he was appointed, not elected.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's just a company. They have nothing to do with the actual elected officials or our politics or anything. So,
Checks My Pulse brings up a good point, and the answer is yes. If Trump buys up housing bonds, the rates do drop. Now, will it bypass the Fed completely? Well, what it could do is have them avoid lowering actual rates. The government can only buy up so many housing bonds. So, you want this in simultaneously to happen. You do a couple things to help it all out. You're not going to completely bypass the Fed. It will help the rates a little bit, but those are, mortgage rates, not the actual interest rate for the inflation. So, it's a part of the whole puzzle. It's not the entire picture, but it is a part of it, and it does contribute to it, but it doesn't fix the problem. So,
yeah. I think that, I mean, whatever. I mean, I think this is a good move by Trump negotiating wise. I think it's whatever he can do to pull out all the stops and pressure Powell in the meantime to continue to cut interest rates. I mean, it's what you do to negotiate, and it may work. I mean, I know that's what Powell just said in his speech there, that it's not going to work. I've had threats before, yada yada yada, but you never know. I mean, a lot of these people are completely bought and paid for, and
sure.
there may be a way that can happen with him or some other kind of pressure. I mean, we've all watched Kevin Spacey in House of Cards. We know what these political games are like. I don't know if you're doing exactly what Spacey did in that show, but yeah, I mean, it's a very, very, very dark world. So we shall see where that goes. But I mean, yeah, this is totally gloves off at this point, I think. And Trump is basically saying, like, I will stop at nothing for this to be a successful year. He wants to win the midterms. He wants to set up his party for the 2028 election. Yeah. So I think he will stop at nothing. And again, love him or hate him, very polarizing guy, much like somebody we know that may have created the Hex token, that you tend to want to back those guys. I'm not saying that they're savory, great people with the best moral values on earth, but they're not going to stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yep.
that I think is encouraging. So, do you have any other thoughts on this at all?
Not on that one. No. Let's check out our favorite chain.
Let's do it. Let's go into Pulse Chain. So here we go with the prices today. So a little bit of a dip today, but a recovery has ensued over the last few weeks in the ecosystem, up maybe, I don't know, I'm guesstimating 20, 30% off the low at this point. But we got Pulse at 4 zeros and a 1.6, Pulse X at 4 zeros, 1.243. We have Inc at 61 cents, Hex at 0027, eHex at 9056, and I think PDI is at 0021 or something like that right now. So that is where we're at. Again, we've seen a recovery here over the last week or two, up off of the lows for Pulse Chain, but yeah, slight dip today. So what do you make? I know you talked about the fear and greed when we were off the air earlier. Any direction you want to take it?
Well, I mean, I'm just seeing that it's very, very neutral. A couple weeks ago, the fear was down to like 15, 12 or 15. I forget what it was exactly. But it's made its way back up to very, very neutral. Again, is that because people have thrown their hands up and said they don't care? You're not seeing the fear. They've just kind of left, you're not seeing really anything from them. So that's possible. Altcoin season has gone back to Bitcoin. This has fluctuated, up substantially as well. Now this was in the middle, and this is headed back to Bitcoin as well. So this is at 28. So just thought that was interesting how quietly things have been happening, but yet the fear and greed is pretty neutral right in the middle. So let's take a look at Z chart at least of you want to look at pulse chain, then let's take a look at pulse chain and see where we're at.
Yeah, and then we'll get into, the never-ending conversation that we've basically always been wrong about is the low in, which we've been asking for 3 years or over 2.5 years. But because the ending of the proof X sacrifice phase, which we'll get to in a moment, may be a catalyst for that being true. So anyway,
yeah, quite possible.
It's not.
I'm sorry. Let's share this. Here we go. Thank you for catching that. Our trend line is stayed here, so that's a good thing. Now we are kind of right on it again. So this will be critical. Can we get through it? Can we break this downward trend? It hit it and it just reversed. So you see here, let's bring it in a little bit bigger so that you can see it. But yeah, it bounced off of it here and immediately just got knocked down, building another green candle. So again, getting through this downward trend is going to be critical, and then staying above it. Like I'm even tired of looking at numbers at this point. I think we really just need to kind of focus on the trend. Can we get those daily delta? Can we get some green candles little by little and start build them up silently, kind of like Ethereum is doing now? Obviously, we are a little bit delayed as far as Ethereum goes. It does take a while to kind of come over to our side. So it's slightly delayed. But again, this is going to be critical, is can we get through this trend line? As long as we keep an eye on it. Have we bottomed? I don't know. I know there are still a lot of people out there that have a bunch. Now, I don't know if that entity is still selling. Again, I don't watch wallets, and I haven't really been on X to see much information about the seller that was like dumping 50 grand a day. But as these prices go down, it takes a lot more pulse to get that much. So again, trend line, very, very important. Got to stay above it if we want anything bullish to happen here. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, certainly right about where we are is definitely a pretty crucial level. And I guess I asked you, so the all-time low at this point was basically what, like 0.40126 or something like that, I think is basically where it was. Right at the New Year too. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Right around New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So, and then
1255.
Yep. And then it's been a kind of a V out of that so far.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to not go down there. And as a mention of a reason, maybe we won't go back down there, which just me saying that means we almost definitely will. But the proof X sacrifice ended on January the 9th. And, we talked about this last week, but we saw the massive amounts of extra funds that was sacrificed by, wallets that had tornado cashed ETH and stuff like that. And then the proof X sacrifice ends. So we didn't see any kind of other people come in, but basically regular investors, there weren't really many people, obviously, that were going to come in at that point. They shouldn't have, that thing raised 16.5 million. I mean, that's basically what it did raise, prior to those other wallets coming in. But I do wonder to you, now that it is over and there's no mistake made, I mean, it's factual that many people did sell out of the main tokens, Pulse X, Hex. They sold out of them to sacrifice for Proof X because those tokens were not accepted in the sacrifice. So now that we see that over, and it's not like it raised a ridiculous amount of money compared to Pulse and Pulse X, I just wondered to you, I mean, do you think that was in a way creating a bottom? Because we talked about that as the sacrifice began. Is the sacrifice not accepting the core tokens because we want to see a forced bottom to know there is a bottom in the ecosystem? I don't know, because it's not like we're way off of that now, but do you think there's a level of confirmation we can have that that was the bottom now that that phase is over with, though?
Well, it could very well be, right? I mean, you look at this date, it was basically New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, I guess, was when the low happened. Now that was before the sacrifice was over, but the early part of it, right? That was the where the bonuses still somewhat mattered, I guess. So yeah, I think people definitely unloaded to get into some of that. Now, again, people just don't have the capital that they had during those other sacrifices. So it's clearly obvious that by the amount that we saw, yeah, 16, I think it was 16.3 or 16.4 million dollars of community money or whatever that was put in. And then yes, another 300, 400 million dollars of other money, but they got such a terrible rate, and the rate only increased. I forget what they got, maybe 75-80% of the supply by doing that. So yeah, is it a clear bottom? Well, it looks like it right now, but again, that could easily change with any kind of news or whatever. I mean, there are still a lot of tokens out there. I don't know. Does Text Screener give the liquidity or how many are out there? I forget if it shows.
Top.
Yeah. Well, it says there's 2.3 million of liquidity, 138 million market cap. Yeah, it doesn't really, There's 2,852 buys, 1,133 sells. So there are more buyers than sellers. However, the volume is what really matters. And 284. So I mean, we're still in the negative delta as far as buy and sell volume. So the sellers are much bigger, and ultimately the goal is to get this dispersed into a lot of smaller hands. You want to see that many more holders that aren't as big as some of these billions and billions of tokens in their wallets, right? If they're dispersed, where you get to a couple hundred million, a bunch of people have a couple hundred million of these, that would be so much better than some of the whales. Now, obviously, sometimes whales are benevolent and they don't sell, but we do have a few that have been hurting the price consistently. Again, I don't know how close they are to being out. It really doesn't matter at this point. It's just one of those unnecessary fears where if they do eventually sell out, then it's even better for the markets. But right now, this does look like a bottom. Again, I think we'll know more if we can get above this trend line and stay above it, to confirm that. Going to be super important here in the next day or so to keep an eye on that.
It is encouraging that we quickly came out of it. I mean, again, it is pretty much a V shape, but if you look back at the previous time we hit a new all-time low, which was that March, April, looks like period there of 2025. Yeah, that also was a somewhat quick recovery. Maybe not as quick as this one, but and then we eventually came back down. So, but I mean, that was also going with the rest of the market. I mean, we didn't think that Bitcoin and Ethereum were going to tank in Q4, and Bitcoin ending up red on the year. Another thing we forgot to mention earlier, but so we'll see if that was the bottom. I mean, does it really matter long term? I mean, not really, I guess, but yes, to get through this level right here, I think would be encouraging. Really what we're wanting after we covered the, Bitcoin and ETH stuff at the top of the show, you would like this rally to continue, obviously. Like, we've seen an extremely good start to the new year. Again, I think Bitcoin was purposely red last year for a lot of reasons. We're seeing a green new start to the year. If this rally in Bitcoin and Ethereum continues, and again, it's not going to be up only or anything like that, but if it kind of continues to stair step up, and then by the time we get to March or April, there's maybe been, that's when I think we would want to, not to go the whole way back to that conversation, but March or April, I think, is when we would have and want confirmation that, okay, this thing is still on right now. Like the bull market is on. We're back over like 115, 117K or something like that, flirting with an all-time high, and then see if Ethereum wants to come out of its, multi-year cocoon and do something actually. So
I ran a lost schools is asking if this is another bottom that we're calling. One of them will be eventually, right? We'll be right on one of them.
Yeah, I don't think either of us have ever called one at all. I think we said, could it be? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I've said before that it looks like it, but
yeah,
I don't know with how much certainty, and said, yep, for sure, this is it. I've definitely said they look like it, but again, it's going to be very important. This trend line is super important, and thank you for calling me out, though. We're all hoping for a bottom, man. I don't know what more to tell you.
Anybody that is constantly touting or saying like, yeah, that was it, certainly, I mean, I would run away from that analysis, honestly, because, and people, I think in investing, especially people that speak in definitives like that, it's just not a good idea. But this move has looked encouraging. The rest of the markets looked encouraging. But again, we're all so snake bitten and we're the ones just paying attention. The vast majority are not paying attention at all. That's the main thing, is there's just apathy right now, no market participants, which may mean that just us psychos here that are left, the cockroaches that are still here in 2026, we may have the ability to finally go up. Who knows?
We will be the winners, though. So, I mean, that's the beauty of this is, guys, we're early. I keep seeing all over the place that all these finances, all these instruments are going eventually to be tokenized. Only so much can go on Ethereum. You have to remember that until the fees get outrageous, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, what's this thing, right? Oh, what's this Pulse chain? It's a clone of Ethereum. It's the same thing, only the fees are way cheaper over there. Well, what's wrong with that? Why aren't we over there? Oh, this fat guy used to twerk in a Gucci suit, and we don't like him. And they're like, are you serious? Has he ever scammed anybody? Well, no, he's been around for 10 years and he just keeps building shit. And he's never really technically scammed anybody. He did send a bunch of emails out, and people are going to look at them and be like, are you effing kidding me? Why aren't we over there? So, I mean, that's how I see it playing out here in a few years. We are extremely early to the party. Consider yourself blessed to be here at some of these levels, because once it does take off, who knows if it ever comes back down here. What happens when ProveX gets launched? What is it going to be paired with? Well, that could be interesting. Is it going to be tied to all this stuff? And is it going to do a crazy 10,000x? Because guess what? Not many people have tokens. So things could get heated up here pretty quickly. I know we're early. I know like I said, it's we're very early to the party, but I see that whole scenario playing out where you get a lot of things that are tokenized. Ethereum eventually runs out of room. It gets too expensive. They're looking for cheaper alternatives. I do believe Pulse Chain becomes the play because it's had no downtime. It's been solid, and cheaper transactions, they're going to come eventually. They're going to come. So I believe we're in a great spot, guys. It's it's a matter of just having faith and sticking through it.
I agree too, and I think ProveX could be a gigantic catalyst for that people don't recognize because of how, again, we talked about it, 16.5 million raised. I mean, that is nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's very encouraging. Right back at you, Tam. Love and appreciate you always being here as well. So thank you. And Mr. Monty Fontaine, this is a good question. He says, how are you guys keeping sane in this market? I've been doing some yield farming. T2X, and looking forward to Tetra if it ever comes out. I don't know what T2X is. I know what Tetra is. But yeah, we haven't really, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Ewok, but I mean, we haven't, I know there's plenty of yield farming opportunities on all kinds of different platforms,
Sure.
that are out there, like the different DEXs and things that people have launched. I haven't really been doing much of that lately just because I don't want to, actively manage anything. Whenever the, just tried and true Pulse X farms were running there for, I mean, people forget now, but for the vast majority of Pulse Chain's existence here, we had those pools running on Pulse X and the farm and liquidity pools. And they were not pooled, but they were significantly lowered as far as the rate. I don't even remember when that was at this point, Ewok. It was whenever the ink inflation was cut, the Hex T-share rate went way down, and it was all these events happening at one time, basically to create very, very, very thin liquidity conditions within the ecosystem. So I know you and I were both doing the Pulse X yield farms and just earning ink forever, back in the day. Those haven't been around for a long time. I was just thinking the other day how great it would be if those were around right now to help, again, to your point, Monty, to keep people sane, as well as Hex staking. I know you didn't mention that, Monty. I know Ewok probably will. But yeah, what do you think, Ewok, about any yield opportunities? And I get it. When prices are this low, you feel good earning something. Like it's, and I know Ewok feels that way about his Hex stakes. Like you feel good when you're earning some kind of yield in the meantime. But
Yeah.
what do you think of that, Ewok?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm still staking Hex. I will be flat out honest with you. I still make a Quattro Cinco every month. And earning more at the, people look at it as, well, you're only earning and it's only worth whatever. I'm looking at it as, what's it going to be worth? I keep that in the back of my mind, and knowing that it's got to go up. The product, the tokenomics, the game theory behind it, people are going to start catching on, guys. There's really truly nothing else like it out there where you can get the trustless yield, minting your own tokens, and not having to rely on somebody. The years of all the scammers that were promising yield and stealing coins, people really got away from it. But knowing that you can do it on your own by interacting with a contract, doing what you say you're going to do, and just minting more. Right? Even if Hex stays where it's at, you're still earning a decent yield, right? It's not bad. It's not great, obviously. I did just look at the statistics or my sheet here. I think you and I removed our liquidity from those Pulse X pools sometime back in February. So it's really been that long that we've been farming. Almost a year. Yeah. So pretty crazy. That's when the inflation got cut. But yeah, I'm slowly again staking Hex. I'm not in my portfolio. I haven't looked at my portfolio in over 2 weeks. I just haven't looked.
Good move.
It doesn't do you any good, right? I mean, that's how you keep sane. You don't dwell on it. You go outside, you spend time with family, you find other things to occupy your time, and you buy when you can. That's the best way, because if you bought the top and you rode it the whole way down, it's been super rough, and you haven't bought in or you haven't DCA'd to get your entry price lower, man, you've got an even longer wait to get back to that point, right? So you want to capture some small wins. Yes, you're not going to be back to where you bought in, most likely, for a little while. But if you can capture some of these dips, buy some prices, and have it go up a little bit, you're that much closer to break even. So little wins like that mean a lot at this point in the market where we've been beaten down pretty hard. So that doesn't say it doesn't go lower, and you get an even better price. It's just one of those things that yet no one really knows the bottom, no one knows the top. But you got to take a chance, and yeah, that's how I've been keeping sane and trying to stay out of it, avoid the drama. That's, I don't mess with a lot of platforms that I don't know. I don't know what T2X is. I do, again, we both know what Tetra is. It's been in the works for quite a while. Some cool ideas for it. I think there's some very cool ideas behind it. I haven't followed them for a while because just haven't seen, any updates or anything. If they're still even working on it. So that'd be, would be cool to see.
Yeah. I think also the main point that you just made staying sane during this. I mean, and this has been since literally, fourth quarter of 2021 is I've just been DCAing all the way down. I mean, I probably should not have started until now because
we didn't know. We didn't know, right?
There's no way you can. I mean, there's just no way you can. If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle, as Mike Tomlin said the other day. It's DCAing hardcore at the lows. I mean, like, it's interesting. I accidentally saw my portfolio the other day. I don't know if you do this, Ewok. Probably not. I'm just a psycho. But like, if I go to one of those apps, because maybe I'm checking something else out, I will cover up. Like, I don't want to see the total amount. I'll like scroll to see what I'm trying to see. But I saw the balance the other day and I was like, oh, for being where we're at, it just shows like the power of DCAing at lows. Cause like, I remember when prices were at its old all-time low, like a 2X from here, having significantly less than I do now that we're lower. So it is, I think that definitely helps. It's just throwing everything you can into the market, and maybe one day it'll go up. But you never know. So
we'll be on the corner handing with a cup and a mug asking for change.
Maybe we
never know.
Well, hey, Trump's giving us a stimulus check, so
where all that's going.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly where it's going. All right. So good stuff there. Good question by you, Monty. That was appreciated. So if you guys are enjoying the stream, do us a favor, hit the like button. We appreciate you being here. Yellowtail, welcome into you. And let's get to, was there another? Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's continue with the ProveX thing here. So we were just kind of talking about, that ending, the sacrifice phase ending, and how bullish. I mean, I 100% think Buck from Fiat, who, launched obviously the ProveX pool that we participated in to get a higher multiplier during the sacrifice phase. I think he has been right about this entire time. He's been a staunch believer that like ProveX could help pull up the entire ecosystem. It's a huge redemption arc for RH. The fact that the overall SAC total is so low, the low market cap is going to be huge. So Richard, this was a day after we got off the air last week, I believe. So he says, geniuses, what are your favorite ideas for making sure the ProveX launches at $0 and trades at zero for at least a day? And of course, the reason you want this is, it can have tax implications if the token has value. And, this goes back to when Pulse Chain and PulseX launched as well. Richard goes on to say, this is a patented Richard type tweet. He says, it's sad that I have to explain everything with such detail that even a complete idiot has a chance at understanding it. So here I am again, explaining again that what I've already explained before. It's great to receive things that have $0 value because there may be tax incentives. Pulse Chain launched and traded at zero for a while. So did PulseX and so did Bitcoin. Maybe there's someone new here that didn't already hear me explain this for both Pulse Chain and PulseX before. So my typing ain't for naught. So, and I guess maybe I'd ask you first. We could certainly look at some of the replies here because there were a lot of innovative ideas, a lot of interesting ideas. I don't know how much this is a rhetorical question that Richard's maybe just trying to see what people are feeling. I'd imagine the guy has a plan, I imagine there's probably already a plan and maybe he's just trying to farm for people's preferences and stuff. But I guess maybe I'd ask you first if you feel prepared enough to answer the question, Ewok. But what do you think could be done or should be done here?
Well, personally, and I haven't gone through a lot of them. And honestly, I think Richard's asking. There are some people that have good ideas out there. And, he's one of those guys where maybe somebody has thought of something that I haven't.
Yeah.
Time out on this subject for a minute, but if you remember when Hex was being designed, Kyle is the one that came up with the T-shares, right? It was somebody in the Telegram group that came up with the T-share idea that he didn't think of. So there's always good thinkers out there, right? And you never know when somebody comes up with an idea that oh shit, never even thought about that. So it's good that he puts this out there. So back to this. I honestly think, and the reason that Pulse and PulseX traded at zero was because there were no bridged in stable coins at the time of launch. It was all just ratios, right? So you could launch it at zero, but now it's not the same, especially if it launches on Pulse Chain, which we assume that it will. I think the best way to launch this is a claim address type thing, right? Make the tokens, put the OA tokens out there, create them at $0. There is a zero. They're out there, but they have no value. And then once 24 hours, 48 hours have hit, then you launch a website where everybody has to claim. You have to sign a transaction or some sort of contract that says that you sacrificed and you're entitled to the claim, right? You're entitled to this. My address, this address sacrificed X amount of dollars. I'm entitled to these tokens. Click the button, sign the transaction, and claim them. I believe that is honestly the best way to do it. It delays it. People see that the token is out there. They're not on the market. You can't buy them anywhere, but they exist. And you give 24 or 48 hours at that zero. You don't want to launch them and someone say, well, at the end of the day, it was worth $1 because everybody was trying to buy it up. You want it to go at least 24, if not 48 hours at zero cost. So there is proof of it being there on the blockchain with no value. When you do things at the end of the day, if it's not even a full day, they will take the end of that day as a value. And you don't want that. Again, you don't want to pay a taxable or create a taxable event by getting an airdrop of something that is valuable. So at that point, then if it launches at zero, there is no taxable event until they're sold. So,
right.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. That's how I would do it. If you want, I can scroll down through some of these ideas and some of the replies.
If there's any you find intriguing, I don't want to stay on it forever. Obviously, Sami comes up as one of the top ones there. He talks about launching ProveX on a Pulse Chain Layer 2 chain, but not open up the bridge yet. Maybe the Pulse Chain Layer 2. You're shaking your head no. Why?
I don't. Why would you do a Layer 2? Like, I think Layer 2s, again, they add a complexity that. Why would you do that? You launch them, but you don't put them out there. Now you're talking about a whole development of a Layer 2. I'm just saying I didn't agree. Sami's great. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy Sami's stuff. I don't agree with having a Layer 2. I don't like, and Richard doesn't like Layer 2s either. He's already talked very negatively about it. So my no was kind of like, I don't like this, and I highly doubt Richard would create a Layer 2. But anyway,
what's the end of that though? Because the point is, it says that way the price trades on the L2 without value and has no taxable events. So at the start, ProveX, he was just giving an example like Arbitrum, but ProveX ARB liquidity bond would be zero because there is no value anywhere for this. I mean, I don't know if you'd be building something, but I see how it would trade at zero by doing that, I guess. But yeah,
sure.
You're right about Richard not wanting to do anything with L2.
Yeah.
So you're right.
I just don't see it happening. Like I said, it's not a bad idea, but I just know Richard is not in favor of Layer 2s. You would have to build a very secure Layer 2 because, again, there's a bridge, there's a relay that has to happen to get to a Layer 2. It opens up another middleman that you just really don't want. They add that extra step of middleman that he tries to avoid. So
Yeah, we could maybe look at like one more. I don't want to stick on it for too long, but oh yeah, Hexo mint tokens to wallets during day one, override before token transfer or similar hook, revert transfers until block dot times. I don't know what this means, but greater than launch time. Definitely came up with this idea all by myself. I don't know where he got that from, but
he probably asked ChatGPT or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Coffee and Fast Abdul both. Let's read theirs too, and then we can probably call that good.
Coffee says, make the coins exist, but claim function only becomes enabled after 24 hours. That transfers coins from single big wallet to however much the person's signature says they're allowed to have. So you don't actually get them, I guess, at first. So there's no trading involved, it sounds like.
Well, that was kind of what I was saying. You have a claim. You have to claim them. So
right.
Which doesn't exist for a little while. So that's what I like.
Make a delay. Yeah. And then Fast Abdul says, make another random token and have that be the only pair for both. That's a little bit what Sami was saying. Like some kind of liquidity that it would make it valueless. Slosh it back and forth a couple times for effect, then maybe pull all that LP and send 100% of the random token to the burn address. So yeah, I can see that too. So again, I'm sure Richard obviously has a plan, but you are right. And that honestly, that's a great aspect of a leader that it's like, well, while the majority of these people won't have any idea what to do better than me, there may be a couple people that have some good ideas actually. So yeah.
I didn't see Big Krakowski's response. He said insider whales with high bonuses dump continuously. 100% tax on transfer within the first 24 hours. Ooh. Ouch. That would hurt.
Yeah. I don't know if I see him doing that, but that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And well, I am super excited for the ProveX. I mean, we don't know when the token is going to come out. I guess maybe we could just finish on that again. I know we talked about it last week, but what is your time estimation for a token coming out? And then we could talk about the platform actually launching. Viper Style says 2 more weeks.
Yep.
DJ and Moonboy says 2 years, which is what the case was with Pulse Chain. What's your time estimation, guesstimation, Ewok?
Well, again, I think the most important part is getting the sacrifice right. Now, this sacrifice set was a little different. I think they allowed more chains, more things available, and you have to get those numbers right. You have to back test them. You have to make sure that the time weighted, whatever it's called, TWAP, the price of them was correct, so that people get the right values. The last thing you want to do is launch this thing and have a major discrepancy. So I do think they will post the numbers, very similar to what they did before. They'll say, all right, here's what we've come up with. You have so many days to object, and take a look at the balances to make sure they're right, all that good stuff. It does take time. So I think it took them almost a month to get the data and everything like that for the Pulse Chain and PulseX numbers. Now, obviously, that was all done way before the product itself launched. So that was taken care of fairly early. But I think a couple weeks, you can get that data all figured out, make sure that people are getting the right prices or the right amount at the right time, all that good stuff. I say 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks. I think it could be ready to go.
Well, weekend of February or something like that.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. How's that sound?
Yeah, there you go. When you're
Richard,
with
here's your heart.
There you go. Yeah, wrapping it all back around. Yeah, I know. I think DJ Moonboy was being facetious. Maybe he wasn't, but Yellowtail says 2 years. No, RH said the code is ready for launch right away. I think I am with you, Yellowtail. Yeah, I don't think this is now that's the product. Now, as far as the token, again, we've talked about it before. Richard basically said it. It sounds like the token will definitely be out before the product is launched, from everything that we've kind of seen intimated. I don't know that I see it as soon as you Ewok. That would be my
Oh, wait, were you talking about product or were you talking about tokens?
No, I was talking about token.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Yellowtail, and I assume Degen Moonboy was talking to. See, that's the thing. The chat's the chat. I don't know what all of them are saying. I think they're talking about the product here, but no,
Okay.
you and I were talking about the token. So you
Okay.
said like a weekend of February. I think that'd be the soonest end for me. I think definitely by April. I think that would be like we're talking a 6 to 8 week window, really. I think by April we would likely see a token, and I think that could also have to do with what is the market doing. Richard's probably taken the pulse of what the market is doing to see if it makes sense to do it at that time. I do think Yellowtail is right about the product. I bet it's about ready to go. I think this has been around. He's been ready to go with this for a while, and it's just a matter of timing to launch the products. Yeah, so the product, I think that could be second half of 2026. I mean, that's a lot tougher to work out, I believe, than the token. But yeah, I don't think 2 years. I would be flabbergasted if that were the case. So
I agree with you. And a lot of the ZK, whatever it is, the P2P deal that was out there that is open source was running and working. I believe they've kind of incorporated a buy and burn or a burn feature of some sort. Which they've already done with PulseX. It has a very much working buy and burn. So, a lot of these things that they're kind of incorporating, I think, already have code out there, and it's just a matter of putting them into place, how they want it to operate, having your interface. I don't think it's as intense as some of the other things that have been launched. And again, we will always hear Richard say, well, software's hard, but I don't see him giving a date. Again, I think we talked about this last week or the week before. I really don't see him giving a timeline unless he says, I think it's ready to go. And once that happens, we'll know about it. But I don't think he'll be like, well, we needed about another week or two to work out some bugs. So I don't think you'll hear that from him. But as far as the token comes, they got to get those numbers right. They got to make sure, because the last thing you want to do is launch the tokens, have a wrong number, have to issue more, because I'm assuming this is a deflationary token, right? It will burn. There's probably no way to mint more of them. And the only way to do it to make somebody whole would be to send it from the OA. And I don't see that happening too. So again, you want to get it right from the beginning, an extra week or two, whatever it takes to make sure that happens. But I think 3 weeks max, we could be looking at a token at least.
Yeah, definitely will be interesting. Either way, this year, I mean, really, crypto is never not interesting, but this year has just so many elements that could shape up to be great or utterly horrible, like most people expect. So, good stuff from Prubex, though. We'll see what develops with that over the next few weeks and months. Let's finish up with this Ewok. Now, I know you were only somewhat paying attention to this. What's true? What's not? It's hard to figure out, but to our point from the beginning of the show that there's just a lot of apathy right now. 2025 was not the year anybody expected it to be. Did Bitcoin make a new all-time high and get in the range that many people would have predicted? Actually, yeah. I mean, in October of 2025, it got to 126K before, crashing down throughout the rest of the year. But Bitcoin did what it was supposed to do. Nothing else really did. And that's why there's just this super amount of apathy right now with people are just, again, it's not even anger and depression. I mean, maybe it is for the people that have stuck around, but most people have given up, are not paying attention to it anymore, are gambling instead, whatever else it may be, sports betting and stuff like that. So we're seeing all this apathy. Yep, you knew where I was going. I wasn't sure if you were catching my drift. So from Degen News, and a lot of people were reporting this over the weekend. Now, I don't know the total validity of this tweet from I can't it's Nikita Buyer or whatever, right? Is it Nikita? Is that his name?
Yep.
Okay. So this kind of happened over the weekend, and DJ News, a bunch of people report on this. This was just one I found that was good. He says, ex-head of product Nikita Buyer says, crypto Twitter is dying from suicide. I probably shouldn't say that word with YouTube's algorithm. Not from the algorithm. Crypto Twitter ends up wasting all their reach on replying "Good morning, GM" hundreds of times, and when which I've never done, and I doubt you have either, Ewok.
No.
Hundreds of times, and when they finally post real content like a project announcement, which is actually probably a honeypot, it only gets shown to 3 people. So yeah, he goes on this diatribe saying this. You thought the tweet was fake. I saw like other people said that too because the font looks weird. I don't know whether that specific post by him is true or not, but the fact remains he is a developer of X and was going on a tirade about it's the people's fault and all these things with the algorithm and stuff like that. I mean, like it was clear that there's issues happening, and there was 100% something wrong big time during this time. I know, not that I'm on Twitter very much, but I know you didn't really experience this, but that night, I said to you, all of a sudden, my entire feed was about this guy. Like everything, it was uncanny. Like I didn't get anything else in my Twitter feed other than stuff about this Nikita guy. Because I think I went to his profile and I'm like, oh, who is this dude? And I was just like looking at some stuff that he posted. And then all of a sudden, my main feed, every single post was about this topic. And it was major crypto accounts that were citing this tweet as real and were very upset about it. And, the crypto Twitter is being shadow banned or whatever else. And then when I clicked something else that night, and I'll just tell you specifically what it was. My dad growing up, when I was younger, he was always a big Grateful Dead fan. And I saw that I think just one of their guitarists, Bob Weir, just passed away last weekend. Yeah. He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. I wonder if my dad knows. And I clicked on the official account of his and sent it to my dad. And then my entire news feed was Grateful Dead shit. Everything. I don't like the Grateful Dead. I mean, hey, all the power to my dad. I just am not really that into them. But all of a sudden, it's all Bob Weir. It's all the Grateful Dead. My entire feed. I'm like, something is wrong here. I have never sought out Grateful Dead stuff ever. That seems to have been repaired, but the sensitivity of whatever was going on over the weekend was real because it happened to me for 2 different things. So I don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, I know that most viewers watching us right now are going to be pro Elon Musk, and I guess at the end of the day, we probably are too. But the dude has had all kinds of weird shit happen with his platform since buying it. Not that the Twitter of old was better, because that was basically, I mean, it was a censorship-based, it was a liberal platform, really. I mean, like it was anything.
Oh, it was before. Totally, yes.
It's hard to remember now. But it really was. But Elon, I think, has just got his fingers in the sauce a little bit too much, and this stuff is just constantly changing. So I guess, what do you make of this story and the validity of his tweet? But my real point is just the apathy and the disappearance of crypto Twitter, anything. Like, people are just not there, or are they there and we don't think they are because of the algorithm? I don't know.
Well, so I think we're at that point where many people have left. People aren't getting the engagement or shares or views or whatever it may be. So they're like, hey, what's going on? Well, people have left, man. They're not interested right now. And it's pretty clear that's what's happening. Now, have they changed the algorithm? Have they done things? I'm sure they tweak it all the time. I'm sure they try to get things to feed the algorithm to see what people want to see. I wish there was a way that, though, like you said, and what happened to you, I wish there was a way to, and maybe there is, and maybe I'm just not aware of it, but you click something, and then the next thing, all you do is see a bunch of that stuff. if there was a way, and I think maybe you can, is this, I'm not interested in this or whatever, and it changes your algorithm. I think there probably is. There's probably those 3 dots that you can go and click and say, this doesn't interest me, or something along those lines. Now, that is on the For You portion of it, right? So, I mean, there's different ways to view X. There's For You, there's following, and then I believe there's groups or something like that. I forget how it works.
I know there's following and For You are the 2 main ones.
Right. And then you can create custom groups. So
okay.
for me, I have a Hex Pulse X Inc. group that I've added people to. So, but for me, I do use the For You because I like to see other things. But then if it's too negative, then I'll go to following and see if they're being negative too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what, how I go through. And most of my following people are also part of that Hex Pulse X group. So yeah, again, I'm sure that they changed the algorithm, but I really believe that it's just the people aren't there right now and they don't care. Now, once prices go up, you're not going to be able to stop it. It is going to be all over the place because that's what's all over the place. So, I don't think anything is targeting anybody. I don't think anybody is gatekeeping or hiding or shadow banning or whatever you want to call it. I don't think that's the case. I just think interest is not there at the moment, and it's becoming visible through the algorithms, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you are right. I mean, it would not surprise me if there were some nefarious things going on here, honestly, just with all the meddling with the algorithm that has happened. But it's kind of just 2 huge buckets. I think it's that, and it's also that there genuinely is just apathy right now. Like, imagine, like, you put, your whole life into all this stuff, and it's like 2025 is going to be the best year of my life. At least the light at the end of the tunnel is Q4 of 2025. None of it happens, and now, people, I don't know, are they still hungover from the holidays? It's a brand new year now, and it's like, why am I going to mess with any of that stuff? I mean, to bring this kind of almost full circle to the beginning of our show, I think that the sentiment conditions are perfect for where we're at right now. Like, we're seeing a little bit of a move up to start 2026, which is only 2 weeks old, which is nice to see. And no one cares about it. I mean, the only people that do are ones that weren't leaving anyway. Like, I'm seeing people that have kind of remained bullish, look at this, and even some that are bearish without an agenda, I guess. Like, people that have been bearish but are open to being wrong. That's the interesting thing about the bears. They're not, they are right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the bearish leaners that are okay being wrong are like, well, hey, with where we're at now, if Bitcoin gets to 100K, that's a step I need to see. If Bitcoin gets to 107, that's a more encouraging step I need to see. If we get to like 117, I probably got to say the bull market's on still. So yeah, I mean, just bringing it back. But the fact that we're seeing apathy with this pump right now, I think for us is really good to see, honestly. So
yep, I agree. And I just think the viewership is down. I think there's people that are just kind of checked out. A lot of people have listened to some of those major bulls and said, "Oh, it's over. I don't need to check this for a little while again." And again, I think they're really going to be caught by surprise because, when you look at it, we just haven't had that run. It hasn't happened yet. So there's going to be people that think it's over, and they're going to be very, very surprised.
Yeah, let's hope so. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you really believe in this stuff and have conviction, I go to something Richard Hart said, and I don't know if it was his Christmas video or the couple that he's put out recently, but if you continue to work, I forget how he exactly said it, but if you're motivated, you don't go away, and you keep working towards a goal, trying new things, eventually the world will yield to you, which I thought was a cool, inspiring quote of his to end off one of his streams. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're continuing to do with belief. So the viewers perking up here a little bit, getting us to the end of the stream, but they've been lower, not just for us, but I mean, again, among all of crypto YouTube lately. So could be a good signal for times to come. We will see. But
for sure.
Anyway, that about wraps us up. Ewok, any final thoughts tonight?
No, man. I again, I remain bullish. I haven't seen enough to say that we're going anywhere but up. So I know prices keep coming down, but again, I'm seeing just there's so many setups, so many good things that are coming for this year. Primaries, elections, stimmy checks, lowering rates, new Fed chair, tokenized things. Like, how many more things can we have, right? I mean, it's just it's getting to be a perfect setup. Maybe not as early as we wanted. We had said January, February, we thought things would be really popping off by now, or at least a start, but we're not that far off. I mean, it still could happen. And when it does take off, again, remember 6-8 weeks. I mean, usually that's the height of a full bull run, where that bubble gets crazy and it pops. So again, doesn't take long. It still could happen early. It could be delayed a little bit, but still bullish.
Yeah.
Have the faith. Stick around for the show. Why would you sell now? So that's all I got.
If you've been here for 4 years, leaving now, I just don't understand. I mean, at the very least, you don't have to pay attention to it day in and day out. You know what I mean? Hex Girl, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate that very much. Hopefully, our answers to you in the chat helped a little bit tonight. And don't worry about the ProveX sacrifice and getting tokens. It will be very clear to everybody how to do it. You won't get lost, and we'll be able to help people out with making sure you get those too. So, yeah.
DJ Moonboy said, I got to shave the beard at 7,500. That's fair.
7,500 hex?
ETH.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that's not too bad. Yeah, I didn't even notice you've kind of let it go out again. I just realized. I mean, you're back.
Just happens.
Yeah, you're back to full growth.
It doesn't take long, man. It grows like
you got that testosterone still pumping through your veins.
I guess I got something pumping through my veins.
All right, cool. So Monty, yes, we are obsessed with crypto too. So
we're not going anywhere
here. Yep, not going anywhere. We are here every Wednesday. Exactly, Hex Girl. He's shaving it when P-Dye pegs. So
shit, it'll be down to my ankles by then.
Probably be later this year. So yeah. We are here every Wednesday. We'll be here next week, same time, same channel at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So really appreciate all you guys in the chat tonight. Great conversation. Awesome to be here with you and all of us kind of keeping it together here. So for Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boy Crypto. We'll catch you next week right here on the Creed of Crypto. See you guys.
Peace.